Hey everybody, Greg Poole here, Bojunkie Media, bojunkie.com. Figured I would throw down a post-Reading recap podcast here. Kind of talk about the event, talk about, kind of what's going on in Reading. FOMO's a real thing. If you didn't make it this year, you definitely missed out. But hope everybody's having a great week. Obviously this weekend, uh, going to be good weather out here, and then we got Mother's Day, and so all kinds of cool stuff happening. But before I get into the Reading chat, how many of you watched the Vegas feature on CBS Sports? CBS Sports, not online, not CBS channels, sports channels. They had three air times. I watched it this morning. I had obviously had seen a preview of it, but how cool was that? I mean the fact that they put together an hour long, well, okay, it's 43 minutes with commercials, calm down, but it's an hour long special, a feature on the Vegas shoot from start to finish 2026, and it was freaking awesome. That's on CBS Sports, folks. That's not on some ESPN Ocho. That's like CBS Sports. And so here's the badass thing. If you didn't watch it, shame on you. Number one, I'm not pulling any punches there. If you didn't consume the CBS content, keep your lips together about complaining of the growth of archery. Just being honest with you. And I know a lot of people are going to be all pissed. Now, if you didn't know about it, okay, fine. But if you knew about it and didn't watch, keep your lips together. You have forfeited the right to complain about archery growing. Just being honest. CBS Sports, that is bonkers. To the people that did watch, the response to CBS for those three airings were so good, that CBS is doing an encore showing on midday prime time on Saturday, the 16th. Yes, I had to take a note on that. Noon on Saturday, May 16th. CBS is running that hour-long feature on Vegas again. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure how all the pieces came together for that, but I all I got to say is freaking bravo to Bruce, Brittany, the Vegas shoot. That's real. And so having a feature like that on CBS Sports is not a small thing. They talked about the 90X, they talked about last year's champions, and it was well done. And so amazing job there. For any of you listening to this, tell everybody, let everyone know, May 16th, noon, CBS Sports, an encore presentation of the hour-long Vegas feature. Now, let's talk about how retarded some archers are. When everybody started posting this, the Vegas shoot, the NFAA, me, Bo Junkie, Paige, like literally everybody started posting it. The first few comments I saw were literally from people with IQs that are about their shoe size saying, well, why are they doing that now? The shoot was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Jesus, Lord, Ricky Bobby Jesus in the little tuxedo shirt and the little manger. Please, Lord, help me. That is part of our problem. It's not live coverage of the Vegas shoot. It's a feature on the entire 60th anniversary event. And we have archers online posting, well, why are they doing that now? The event was weeks ago. Oh my God. They are amongst us, people. They are among us. And it's up to us, the majority of us that have more than two brain cells, to call them out and to literally say, what are you even talking about? It's a feature for the 60th anniversary, it's not live coverage. But that's some of the responses Archers had to CBS Sports putting an hour-long feature of the Vegas shoot on CBS Sports in real, like real live stuff, like nationwide, every affiliate, not pay to play in certain markets and in certain home. No, no, no. CBS is everywhere. And we have Archers talking about why are they doing that? The event was several weeks ago. Oh my God. Oh my God. But anyway, those people need to delete their accounts. But anyway, great job to Bruce and all them. Fantastic. Now let's talk about Reading. Obviously, Reading is kind of home turf for me. I grew up here and I'm back in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Been here for over a year, but Klamath Falls, where I raised my kids. I'm from Bend. So Reading is like home turf. And so that shoot is, I don't even think arguably, it is the best outdoor event we have. The social aspect, the vendors, it's the only national world level shoot where you shoot with the same group all weekend because we're spread out over 70 targets. There is just no way to flight us. But it's absolutely fantastic. Dave Wanamaker and Leslie and registration and Heather and Randy Tucker and all the people there at the club did an absolutely fantastic job. I camp. And so I'm sitting over there and I'm like, man, that music they're playing some pretty decent. They had a live band. They had a live band there on Thursday. I thought that Wednesday or Thursday, I think Thursday. That was pretty cool. I mean, so the club is putting in effort to make the Reading experience something else. Now, there were some people that said it was too loud, or okay, it may have been loud. And look, it was the first time they did it. I think it was a great idea. Everything has a volume control. It's no big deal. But the course was fantastic. The vendors were packed. Plenty of food. There was, if you're into adult beverages, there was multiple. So getting an adult beverage when you were done shooting was no big deal. As usual, parking. Look, you're not going to park. I think they had right at 1,400 shooters, which for me is a good number. 1,400 is a good number. Several years ago, we had several years ago, we had way more than that. And it was just the capacity. So 1,400 is a really good number. And so if you missed out on Vegas, don't miss out on it again. I mean, it fills up every year for a reason. And once you come to Reading, you will never miss it again. Weather. The universe, the archery weather gods smiled down upon thee for Reading this year. We had 3 absolutely beautiful days. The first day was like 84 or so. Second day was like 81. Third day was in the high 70s. It was spectacular. Probably top 3 weather I've ever seen in Reading. It was amazing. And so, I mean, we've had rain off and on the last decade or so, but this weather was absolutely fantastic. Reading is always the first weekend in May. So if you are going to, you should be coming to Reading next year. That's when it is. Put it on your schedule, on your calendar, right meow. Like literally right meow. Put Reading on your calendar. It is that awesome of a shoot. For those that might have been wondering, where was Mikey Slosher? Depending, Vegas champion, by the way. Where was Louis Price? Where was Gaius Carter? Where was, some of the other Euros that normally come? Where was Jimmy Lutz? China. They were in China. The only thing about the Reading shoot is sometimes it pushes up against the China World Cup. And so for those handful of people that have to do both, it's pretty sketchy. It's pretty sketchy to leave from Sacramento or San Francisco Sunday night and get to China with about 2 hours left of practice day. That's kind of sketchy. And so lots of folks used to do it, but it's burnt several people show up and their bows aren't there. And so this year, the only one I know of was Domagoj Buden from Croatia. I'm going to have a couple stories about him in this podcast as well. But that's why those people weren't there. Just so you were wondering. It's just a Canada Dry, people. Calm down. It's just a Canada Dry. For all my friends in Canada, for right now, hockey's still ours. Anyway, poke that in there a little bit. So, but Reading was an absolute blast. The camping area on the range side is probably one of the funnest times you will ever have. I mean, folks that aren't even camping come over there and just partake in the social aspect of it. We were starting, it's a shotgun start at 8, and we had to wait a lot, and we were still off the range by 1. So we were just whining to whine because that's what archers do. But yeah, we were literally on the course from 8 to 1, shoot 25 targets Friday and Saturday, 20 on Sunday. And good days, good weather, vendor area was banging. And so calm down, Mike, you're not coming up. It's too hot for all that. And so as far as the facility, everything was great. One of the things about the Reading shoot is that, you know, everybody has said that not only is it the funnest, and everyone says, you know, the dots are this or the dots are that, but well, no one has still cleaned it. And so if you're one of the people that are like, Reading's just too easy, the dots are too big, well then bitch, get out there and clean it. No one ever has, ever. And 2 of the best shooters to ever play the game, Jesse Broadwater and this year's winner, Kyle Douglas, both dropped 1. And that's the record. So it's not a par game. If you say it's a par game, you're lying to make up for your own misses. Even in the most perfect weather I might have ever seen, and I am going to get into Kyle's performance, it was spectacular. But as far as the Reading shoot goes, huge props to Straight Arrow Bow Hunters. Like I said, Dave Wanamaker, camp host, works his butt off, goes up there and stays for like a month or 2. It's incredible what these people do. So great job there. You know, got no complaints. It was awesome. So if you've been thinking about coming there, you definitely should. So let's kind of jump into some of the storylines from this year's Vegas. We have to start with, and so this is just my perspective, my opinion, but when you have archers the caliber of Kyle's and Bodie's and, you know, all of these other guys that are just spectacular shooters, momentum and equals confidence, and confidence equals that little extra piece that puts those guys over the top, because it's so hard to win in the male pro. And so that little extra bit of confidence goes a long way. And Kyle is, if you were to Google professional male archery momentum, it would be Kyle Douglas's face. He is absolutely crushing it this year. No, he's not winning every single event, but he's damn close. And he's on the podium pretty much. He's rented a place on the podium. It's just a matter of which one it is. He is crushing it. So Kyle comes out and shoots 1 down. And whether confirmed or speculation, Kyle glanced out at 45 yards. Glanced out at 45 yards. Now, I did talk to Kyle, and Kyle's like, it probably would have hit, but it just wasn't dead center. But he glanced out. So his 1 point was a glance out. That's pretty wild. And so let's talk about the 1 point here real quick. So now we have 2 1-down clowns. And so when Jesse Broadwater shot 1 down, that was still a 3-day, but it was pre-fire, and he missed 1 on the elk herd by 1 X10 shaft. Back up real quick. To the CBS thing, it just dawned on me. Huge props to Easton and Trueball. The only archery companies that I watched the whole hour, the only archery companies that advertised on that hour-long program. I don't know any of the details of it, but huge props to Easton and Trueball for participating in that hour-long CBS special. How I forgot to mention that, I have no idea. So Jesse's was pre-fire, the original, the OG Reading course. One down on the elk herd. Now we have post-fire, which obviously, is most of you know, there was a big fire that came through there. I won't make any statements about the fire itself, but so now Kyle, so a bunch of targets changed. Some targets had to be removed. They had to add new targets. The pathways had to change. So there's been some changes in the targets. And so now Kyle Douglas has dropped one on what we could consider version 2 of the Reading course, the straight arrow bow hunters range. So Jesse dropped one on V1. Kyle dropped one on V2. And if you're wondering why I'm talking about that, it's not to compare those two guys shooting. If Kyle would have cleaned it, he would have still cleaned Reading. It wouldn't be sitting here going, well, he didn't clean it on the same course as Jesse. That would be stupid. However, to reiterate, Jesse cleaned V1, or Jesse dropped one on V1. Kyle dropped one on now V2 of the range. And for those of you that were there and heard all the scuttlebutt and heard all of the rumors going around, up at the top of the canyon where the standing bears are, they have now they're going to have a road that goes up and over that hill, and there's going to be 5 new targets back there. I will be going down to kind of do a tour of it with Dave Wanamaker when they get a little bit farther along and we can actually show you what's up. But they're putting 5 new targets up over the hill where you shoot the standing bears at the top of the canyon. And so what does that mean? Well, that means 5 other targets are going away. Now, the only 2 that I can confirm, I asked Dave multiple times, but I don't even think they're really positive yet. But the only 2 that I can confirm that are going to be going up and over is the moose on the ridge, like up above where you shoot the elk herd. That moose, the 73-yard moose, is going away. That's going to end up at the top of the canyon on the other side. And the 3-yarder. The 3-yarder by the Eat Shack up there in the canyon, that one is also going to be moving. And so here's one of the other things I've been told about these new additions. I don't know if all 5 of them will be or not, but they're going to be actually incorporating some angle to the dangle. I've heard 25 plus degrees. I cannot confirm nor deny that. When I go with Dave to do kind of a walkthrough and video it, and we can talk about it and stuff, I'll be bringing a rangefinder so I can tell you exactly what kind of dangle to the angle we're talking about. But it's going to be adding difficulty. So now we are going to have a V3 of the Reading course. The straight arrow bow hunters are super proactive. I'm super happy for them. By the way, Bruce Cole just texted, the CBS Encore on May 16th, Saturday, is at noon Eastern time. Throw that in there. So Dave has said that some of those shots up there are going to have some pretty steep angles. Steep for what we would be used to in Reading, but not steep for like what Bodie and them shoot up in Washington or Pro Series type stuff or feet of field. But I'm glad to see them adding some technical difficulty to that. I don't care if anyone cleans it. I hope someone cleans it. I could care less. It won't be me. But the fact that the Reading Club is being proactive in expanding onto land they have is absolutely fantastic. So when I know more about those 5 new targets, but I do know the 73-yard moose on the ridge is going away, and the 3 not going away. It's being relocated. And the 3-yarder up in the canyon by the Eat Shack is being relocated as well. I don't know what other targets are going to relocate. I have no idea. But that is what he said. So I believe next year in Reading is going to be the debut of Straight Arrow Bowhunters Course V3. And so that part's pretty exciting. And so when we're talking about Kyle, one down is just absolutely fantastic. But as good as he's been shooting this year, no one was really surprised. The weather was spectacular. Everything was, I mean, literally you could not have emailed the good Lord above and asked for any better weather. It was not windy. There was no rain. It was not excessively hot. It was great. And so for Kyle to come out and do that was absolutely fantastic. So congratulations to Kyle Douglas on that. You earned it, bro. And besides that, Kyle's like one of the nicest dudes ever. Like Kyle is literally one of the good guys. Like he is such a nice dude, very welcoming. Like if you ever get a chance to talk to Kyle, you'll see what I'm talking about. He doesn't take himself overly serious. You know, he's very grounded. And so I appreciate that about Kyle. Kyle is a good dude. And I like that. So let's talk about a couple other folks on the male pro list. We're going to get to the seniors and we're going to get to the women, but 2 down, Spoolstra came out and dropped it like it's hot. 2 down, absolutely. No one's surprised he did it, but they were a little surprised he put it together for 3 days like that, because 2 down is balling out. And so super big congratulations to him. He absolutely earned it. I was happy to see that. Good kid. Yeah, his girlfriend there with him. It's good to see him have that taste of success. Yes, he did not win at 2 down. At 2 down, he didn't win. That's bonkers. But let's talk about Tate Morgan. Old Taters, has been struggling with a pretty severe case of the panics of the target, and it's kind of debilitated. It crushed him, and he literally retired. And he's a Bowtech rep now, and he's doing very, very well with that. But he's tried every release he can, and he's just not been able to beat the target panic until now. And I believe he's shooting the Stan tension release. He shot a 900 in Vegas with a tension. For those of you that are wondering, a tension release is literally set to a certain number, certain poundage. You hold the trigger, draw the bow, release the trigger, aim, and just start pulling. And when you pull to the poundage that the release is set at, it just lets go. So he shot a 900 in Vegas with that. And then he came out in Reading and dropped 2. He shot a 1538 with a resistance. I am so happy and proud for Tate. I can't even explain it. I mean, Tate is, it used to be was, I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to lie to you. It used to be Tate was a really good archer, like better, like top percent of the 1%. But now that he has that tension in his hand, it's not a was anymore. It's an is. Tate is a great archer. I mean, he shot a 560 field. How many people did that? I mean, so Tate has always been able to shoot, but he's been down and out for a few years now, but Tate is back. And so super proud and happy for Tate. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in him and Paige's household, because I want to see how Paige deals with not being the top dog anymore, shooting wise. They need to feel that they need to record that, because Paige has been the top dog shooting for several years now, but Tate put it on her. And so super happy for Tate. That was absolutely fantastic. I literally could not. The only scenario, like, I don't really care who wins really, but I'll tell you the scenario that I was thinking about on Saturday. And I was like, if this scenario happens, nobody will be mad, not even competitors. And that was if Tate Morgan won the male pro and his father, Rob Morgan, won the Senior Pro. Now, it didn't happen, but there for a little bit, it looked like it could. And that would have put everybody in their feels. I don't even care who you are. I don't care who you are. If you were from another company or whatever, if you've been around this sport for any amount of time, if Tate Morgan would have won Reading and his father, Rob, would have won Reading in the Senior Pro, that would have been the storyline of storylines. So it didn't happen, but we were watching for a minute and we were like, oh my God, that would be epic. And so absolutely fantastic. Kyle, Spoelstra, Tate, man, welcome back, brother. Welcome back. And Taylor, keep that shit up, bro. You're on a roll. You're doing very, very well. Take yes for an answer. One of the other people that I wanted to talk about on the male side is Domagoj Buden. So Domi has been fighting some neurological neck issues from his neck down into his trap, and it's really been causing him some problems. Like, he would draw back, and you can't, for those that can't see me, but he would draw back and his head would just twitch. Deek, 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 like just twitch. And just twitch. It was absolutely wild to watch. And so he was at my trailer, and he has the new Hoyt, or not new, but he has a Hoyt Concept X. He's been shooting it very well. And so there, his arrows were good. Everything's good there, but we were just sitting at the trailer and I shot his bow. Now, I'm a 32-inch draw length and he generally is too, but I drew his bow and I'm like, this feels short. And how is your peep not touching your cam? It's so high. Like, literally his peep was ridiculously high. Dom has won that shoot. Dom's won Reading at 2 down. I'm not judging him. I'm just asking him. And I go, and he said it was because of his neck and he had to make some adjustments to try to stay in the game. And I'm like, okay, like, stay in the game at his level. Let's keep that in perspective. Stay in the game at the level he needs to shoot at. And so, because he's one of the best, period. And so I said, hey, grab my bow. Shoot mine. Now, he has more weight on his front bar than I have on my front and back. So my bow is going to be ridiculously light for him. He draws it back at the trailer and shoots into the target that I have there. And he doesn't say anything. And he gets this weird look on his face. And I'm like, okay, I'm just watching. He draws back and shoots another arrow. And he goes, what in the hell? Like, I don't know, bro. What happened? He goes, why does your bow feel so much more comfortable than mine? And I'm like, I can't tell you that. The draw length's longer and my peep's 7 inches shorter, lower. So maybe that. Domagoj Buden was like, this is so much more comfortable. This is ridiculous. He goes and gets his portable press, lengthens his draw length, changes his mod by, I think, a quarter or a half inch, gets that all done, and then starts to lower his peep. Well, I don't know anything about neurological issues, but I said to Dom, I said, hey, I see where you're anchoring. And I had no rhyme or reason for this, folks. Just shithouse luck is what this was. But I said, hey, instead of anchoring down low like you do, I said, bring your hand up and anchor kind of on your cheekbone. And he's like, for what? I'm like, I don't know. Shits and giggles. So he comes to full draw with his bow, moves his release hand up his face onto his cheekbone, and his head barely flinched. You should have seen the look on his face. He was in utter and complete shock. So he shoots, does it again, draws back, and he's anchoring way high. Like, his peep is above his eyebrow. Like, I'm not even joking you. His peep is so damn high. It's ridiculous. But he's anchoring up by his cheekbone like a lot of other people do, and his head would like twitch twice and then just stop. This dude slid down his peep, I shit you not, over a half an inch. If it wasn't 3/4 of an inch, he didn't move it. It was completely backward. It was wild. So he gets out his portable press. So he gets out his portable press, fixes the peep rotation because he moved it down literally like 2 rotations. It was bonkers. Thursday, hour and a half before dark. Dude jumps in his truck, drives across the street to shoot at the other range, half-inch or so longer draw length, peep 3/4 of an inch lower, and an entirely different anchor point. And when I say entirely different, I mean entirely different. Gets marks across the road till dark, comes back to the trailer, parks his truck with the headlights on, and gets his short marks at my trailer in the dark. Now you might be thinking, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. And normally I would agree with you, but this is where familiarity with your products, your equipment, and understanding yourself really comes into play. So he lengthened his draw length by half or at least 1/4 of an inch, slid down his peep a mile, had to jam across the road and get new marks, the whole 9 yards. Dude dropped 4 all weekend. 4. He dropped 4. Shot a 15.36 after doing all that shit. He dropped 6. He didn't change his stabilizer weights. He didn't change his back bar angle. He didn't change shit other than everything else. That props to you, Domagoj. That I've seen some wild shit in my day because I've been around a hot minute. I've seen some wild shit. Roger Willett dropping his bow, heading up the canyon when it was a 2-day, dropping his bow in that Conquest 3 or 4, bouncing down the rocks and him calling equipment failure, getting things dialed, and still cleaning the day. But what I watched Domagoj Buden do was resilience. It was obviously he was competent with his equipment, but when he shot my bow twice, he was like, this feels so much better than mine. I don't even know what to do about it. And he literally took measurements from my bow and matched his bow to it on Thursday night. And then shot 4 down. Cleaned the first day, dropped 3 the second, and then 1 the third. 4 down after doing all that stuff. So huge props to Dom for that. I will probably never see anybody do anything like that again. I mean, I'll probably see people do some dumb shit like that again and then drop 30. But dude dropped 4 points. Absolutely, absolutely bonkers. I mean, that is, and he was pissed he dropped the 1 on the 3rd day. Rightfully so, I guess, when you're at that level. But huge props to those guys. And obviously the other guys shot very, very well also. But those were just some of the guys I wanted to highlight and talk about in the men's class because it's absolutely unreal. Now let's move over to the women's, or should I say Paige's class. Paige is also shooting a resistance. This has been well chronicled. We've talked about it on the podcast. We've talked to her about it on the podcast. She has pulled no punches. Shocker. That she has been suffering from target panic as well. And the resistance release has been the magic pill for her. And she's shooting it at the ASA. She's shooting it indoors. Paige Pearce broke her own course record. Her course record in Reading was 15:35. Do you know how many years that was the men's record? You shoot a 15:35 now, you're in like 10th, which is better than 20th, I guess. But Paige Pearce broke her own record and shot a 15:36 with a tension release in Reading this year. I mean, and she's pissed she lost to Tate. Let's be honest. She's happy she won her 11th title in Reading. She's more pissed off she lost to Tate because, you know, she will fire shots when it comes to talking trash. especially here in Tate. I think it's great to watch. But yeah, she was like, I can't believe I lost to Tate. Like, you didn't just lose to Tate, he doubled you up because, a little gasoline on the fire there. Great kids, but we always have fun. But no, she huge props to Paige. Paige and Tate that got them Botex working. I mean, I haven't shot a Botec for literally since 25 years ago, the Pro 40, their very first ever target bow. But Paige and Tate, Paige and Tate got them things figured. They got them figured. And so huge props to them. Paige she's the GOAT. Like, there is no debate. She's the GOAT. And so huge props to Paige. 4 down. I mean, she's going to be in the conversation to maybe clean that thing one day like everybody else talks about. So huge props to Paige. That was absolutely fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the seniors. One in particular, Tim Audus. Super, super nice guy. Tim comes out and shoots a damn 1533 to win the senior pro. 1533 in the senior. So think about that, folks. The senior pros won with a 1533. The women's was a 1536, and the men's was a 1539 out of 1540. What is happening? What has happened? Tim Audus absolutely came out and crushed. So huge props to Tim. That is a massive win. Reading is not easy to win. There was a bunch of guys packed in right behind him. Rob Morgan was second with a 1529, and then there was a bunch of guys at like 27. But Tim absolutely crushed. It was, I'm super happy for him. Obviously, that doesn't happen on accident. He had something going on with his eye on the first day too, but obviously he figured that shit out. But huge props to Tim. That was absolutely fantastic. A 1533 in the senior pro that's balling out. So huge props to Tim for that. Keep it up, Tim. You are rolling. You got that rig figured out, and whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Keep doing it. One of the other things that I also wanted to talk about was, and the service, in case you're wondering, the cell phone service out at the Reading range is booty hole. It's not good. It's not good at all. And so posting videos and doing live feeds and all that shit just don't happen. And so, but I did post a video about Precision Cut, the sight tape program. And Bodie Turner had been trying to convince me, borderline nagging me, to give Precision Cut a try for quite a while. And I figured, what the heck? Now, I hadn't shot. I practiced for Vegas and then ended up doing media. So I hadn't really shot but like twice since Vegas. And then I showed up on Saturday down in Reading and had some trailer issues, but I shot Monday and Tuesday, and then that was all that I shot. And so, but let me tell you this. I've used every program ever. And the guys at the other programs are great people. I'm not taking anything away from them in any kind of way. But what Tristan has going on over there at Precision Cut is some straight voodoo with extra O's. Extra O's. So, and no, I don't have the lab radar. No, I don't have all that bougie ass. No, I don't have any of that crap. I have none of it. You know what I do have is I have 25 years of shooting 2 or 3 marks. And so I shot in, and I mean dime bag Daryl, freaking 25, 50, and 100. Not at the dot, like at the bottom of the paper at the target. I had the most pristine 25, 50, and 100 mark any human could ever have. And so I put in my peep to arrow. I put my stuff into Precision Cut, and then it has multiple options for how you configure your tape. You can do 1 mark or 2 marks and a speed. You can do 1 mark and the lab radar. You can do all, and I didn't have a chronograph or a lab radar. So I was pretty much bucky naked. And so I just did the 3 marks. That was the best tape I've ever had in my life. I like my tapes to be high in the X. So if I break a perfect shot, it's not touching the X line. It's just above center in the X. That's where I like it, because I tend to have a little bit of a drag. It's not a bob, but it's just a little drag. And so for me, I just like to, if I break the most pristine, crispy, I'm going to quit now shot, it's not on the scribe. It's maybe quarter of an inch, half inch above it. That's just what works for me. And yeah, the tape, I went around the lower 14 and it was absolutely crispy. But here's the part that freaked me out. So I come back to my trailer and I have these little tiny black Sharpie dots painted on my, drawn on my target. And I shot 2 yards, 3 yards, and 5 yards based solely on what Precision Cut told me to shoot them for. And every single one of them was straight buckets, straight buckets, just perfect. That has never happened for me in my life. I've always had to slide peeps. In programs, I've always had to slide peeps in programs, or I've always had to do some fuckery to get my short marks to match what I actually need to shoot it for. And so this was the first time I've ever had short marks that needed exactly 0 other effort. I was absolutely blown away. Not to mention that, but that little Epson printer, what witchcraft are, I don't have anything close to me that this little printer, I shit you not, is the size of 2 iPhones. It's just thicker. It's probably 6 inches by 6 inches by 1.5 inches thick. Now, here's the part where I have to be honest with you. I myself are what you might consider somewhat of a retard when it comes to that kind of stuff. And so I open up the Epson and it says, download the Epson app for this and that and the other. And I'm like, fuck my life. My service out here is booty. I can't download an app. And so I text Tristan and I'm like, do I have to download this app? And he's like, no. Like, okay. So I don't download the app. I turn on the printer. I link it via Bluetooth, because nowadays everybody can link via Bluetooth. And it says print test strip. I'm like, sure. Hit the button, prints out this strip with a 4-inch black line on it. And you measure the line, you measure it to the gnat's ass, and then in Precision Cut, you put what that line actually measures. And that's how it calibrates how the distance for your tapes are accurate. Now, my 4-inch one that was about to sound not really good at all. That was about to sound really bad. So the mark it printed off for me was exactly 4 inches. So I just put in 4 inches, and then it just has a print tape. I hit print tape, and the first one that came out was spectacular. And then I started looking at the settings, and you can like literally adjust how long the 10-yard line is, how long the 5-yard line is. You can adjust how wide the 1 yards are. You can adjust the letters. Like, bro, Precision Cut's the shit. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. With that Epson printer, it is, and in the Epson printer, you can get vinyl adhesive paper. So if it did rain, which it didn't this weekend, your tape's not going to run down the side of your site. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to get Tristan on the podcast, because I need to ask him, one, how did he do that? And number two, I'm made of questions. But there is a reason that, and now mind you, for those of you that have been around for a minute, you know that for the last 20 something years, I have carried around a purple folder with an inch full of tapes that I printed off just randomly. And the who's who of who's who over the last 20 years has gotten tapes out of this folder. Now, not tapes made for them. They would just shoot 3 marks and then bend the tapes in half and compare them until they found one that worked. But literally, so many champions in Reading and outdoor nationals have gotten tapes out of that folder. But I'm sorry, man, but I'm going to have to retire that folder because with Precision Cut and that printer, there's no need. You don't need it. I don't need to travel around with all them tapes. I don't need it. It is there, in my opinion, that Precision Cut program with the app. And by the way, here's the other important thing. The app functioned for me in shitty service. So I didn't have like 5G. I wasn't in town. Like I could still use the app and do what I needed to do up at the Reading course with very, very little service, which is huge for me because, you know, sometimes we go places that don't have really good service. And so being able for the Precision Cut app to actually work and function and print tapes and do the whole 9 yards without really good cell service is huge. That is just bonkers to me. And so I'm happy about it. The tape was spectacular. So great job to Tristan. I am going to get him on the podcast because yeah, he's earned it. I want to have a conversation with this dude. And, you know, there's a reason that so many top dogs are using Precision Cut because it's got that it's got that thing. It's got that swag. And now with that Epson printer, please, absolutely fantastic. One of the other things that I did also get to use in real time this Reading was my Arc Systems AX200 sight. And I know it's PJ Deloche and the, you know, some French homies, and they're not a monster company. They're not, you know, they're a small company, but holy shit, that sight is spectacular. Spectacular. For those that might have watched the video when I had the sight and I leveled it. And then while I was talking, I was banging it on my workbench on the scope, banging it, clack, 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 clack. And then I put the levels back on and it was still straight. So I was shooting and I had my bow leaned up against a, picnic table. Well, I grabbed it by the top cam and went to lift to walk away. And I literally lifted up and my scope housing smacked into the bottom of the picnic table. And I was like, well, I guess we'll see how that second axis does. Next arrow, boop, right in the middle. So super duper impressed with the Arc Systems AX200. It was super, super impressed with that. And so, I mean, it was a fantastic event. You know, if you didn't come this year, you should. They did just put out the schedule for the 2027 NFAA schedule. So Vegas is back 2 weeks. So, and look, folks, I get it. Shooting Vegas at the end of March sucked. Well, I didn't even get to shoot. Going to Vegas at the end of March for the Vegas shoot kind of sucked. But now it's 2 weeks moved back. So it's like March 11th through the 14th or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is. Another good piece of news as far as I'm concerned, Indoor Nationals is still in Memphis. I liked Memphis. I mean, I didn't obviously walk around all of Memphis, and I certainly didn't do it at 2 a.m. But as far as the downtown, the food was cheap. The venue was off the hook. The venue in Memphis was off the hook. The only thing that I can say and this has nothing to do with the NFAA or Bruce or any of the shooters, is you manufacturers better get it back to indoor nationals. There was over 1,000 people there. It's a great venue, non-union, so you're not getting raped just trying to get in the building. Vendors need to get back to indoor nationals. I'm not going to say any names this time. Manufacturers, put indoor nationals on your list. Do it. We all know the Rushmore Rumble is still at the ATA. So obviously all the vendors will already still be there. I just hope, as far as the ATA Rushmore Rumble thing goes, that they set it up a little different. I didn't necessarily like the way that you could literally walk around the whole show, and if you didn't go through that doorway and in the other side, you wouldn't even know the Rumble was happening. So I'd like to see that be set up a little different. I have no control over it. I'm not involved in it. I told Bruce my opinion. Probably won't matter. I mean, it might, but you get the point. Opinions are like assholes and nobody thinks theirs stinks. But I would just like to see that opened up to where when you walk to that edge of the ATA show, that you're exposed to the entire shooting line of the Rushmore Rumble. I think that would be cool. But the schedule's looking good. I do like the fact that we're going to try to creep indoor nationals back to the first week-ish in February, and have Vegas the first week-ish in March. And then the first week in March, indoors can be over. That'll be cool. Maybe if the stars align and some negotiations can happen, perhaps we can't start indoor, or perhaps outdoors 3D won't start in the middle of indoor season. How about that? Just a thought. How about not starting 3D in the middle of indoor season? Can we consider that? Can we consider that? I mean, it's a common sense thing, but it doesn't happen. And so I would like to see March, first weekend in March, Vegas ends the indoor season and immediately transitions into 3D and outdoors. But that's just what I'd like to see. I think it would flow better. I think it'd be better for archers. It would certainly be better for pros and top amateurs that come and compete in these things. And so I would definitely like to see that happen. But anyway, that's going to be it for the podcast, folks. Just wanted to kind of do a quick recap of Reading. It was spectacular. The music, the range, the fact that the straight arrow bow hunters are still looking to improve things, the 5 new targets. When Dave does call, I'll go down and bring somebody with, and we'll get mic'd up and we'll go up to the top and we'll have him walk us through, and I'll bring a range finder, and maybe by then he'll know what targets are going to get moved other than the 73 and the 3. But exciting things happening in Reading. If you didn't come to Reading, you better ask somebody, because you missed out. It was absolutely fantastic. So great job on that. The Vegas CBS hour special. Holy shit. That thing was awesome on CBS Sports. That is good for us. So they are doing the encore Saturday, May 16th, noon Eastern time. So that's pretty much going to be it. Precision cut. Dude, if you don't have precision cut, you need to reevaluate some things in your life. But that's going to be it. Hope everybody has a great weekend. If you guys are traveling anywhere, whatever you're doing this weekend, you guys know the drill. We want it be safe, because we want to hear from you, not about you. And as always, everybody, love, peace, and chicken grease.